Welcome to the Special Report Online. On the road here in the Debate Hall, the Iowa Events Center in Des Moines, where we will host tomorrow night's debates. If you haven't been here before, it is a place where you can ask some comments, make some comments, ask some questions of the panel here. We have a panel of local journalists with us tonight. Catherine Lucy, politics reporter for the Associated Press, and Jason Noble is a political reporter for the Des Moines Register. Thank you all for sticking around. Just a quick online show. We do this every Wednesday. Ask people to write in some questions. A lot of people are confused by caucuses. It's worth pointing out it's a different system. I mean, for somebody who doesn't follow it, how do you shorthand it?
Well, these are our party meetings. This is not a primary election where you go in, for 30 seconds throughout the day and vote. You're actually at a party meeting, standing up, and on the Republican side, you're casting a ballot. On the Democratic side, you're actually kind of dividing up into groups based on who you support. And kind of the upshot of it is that it requires a lot more commitment and more sort of engagement by the participants than just a typical primary election.
Got to show up. And on the Democratic side, it's a bunch of standing around in actual places, schoolhouses, firehouses, and you have to make a threshold of percentages, and then you literally move physically to a different group.
Yeah, that's right. On the Democratic side, they'll get there, they'll talk about the candidates, and then literally the Clinton people will stand in one group, the Sanders people will stand in one group, and then if there are any O'Malley people, they will stand in a group. And you have to hit a minimum of support to be viable. And if you're not, then those people have to go join another candidate. So the Democratic results, what you see that night, doesn't reflect a popular vote. It reflects how many delegates they've earned, essentially.
Right. And O'Malley is polling about 4 or 5%. So the interesting thing is he wouldn't make that threshold of roughly 15%.
Except that it's a little more complicated because it's so local. In one precinct, he might have 15%, in another he might have 1. So
but what's the going bet where his people would go?
Well, that's the question. That's really where some strategy and gamesmanship comes into the equation here. Is those Clinton and Sanders people are going to be competing for O'Malley, and I talked to some of these precinct captains and organizers last week for a story, and they're saying we're reaching out within our precincts not only to our supporters, but we're making contacts with O'Malley people and Sanders people and trying to walk into these caucus sites with a pre-existing relationship, so when that moment comes to win them over, we can do it.
Mm-hmm. There's also a lot of sort of game here in terms of how well you're organized and how sophisticated your campaigns are about caucus rules, because in addition to the O'Malley people having to have a second choice potentially, either Clinton or Sanders might try and help the O'Malley group, give them some people so that they can stay viable. That way those people don't go to the other candidate. So so that really the well-organized campaigns who really understand how caucuses work benefit, basically.
Interesting.
Right. Yeah.
J.S. Johns says, will Trump show up? He says... let me see. Oh, he's asking, will Trump show up? We really don't know. We're going to plan for him to be here, but if he doesn't, we're ready for that too. So it's a lot of moving parts of questions and other follow-ups. Charlotte Lady says, I think he claims he won. However, personally, I am interested in a Trump-free debate. And then caucus goers, Dave Levine says caucus goers are the elite of the party activists. I mean, you do have to be a diehard to go out there, right?
There's some truth to that, and traditionally the candidates will court that elite of the elite, as the Twitter person said, but that was sort of blown up in 2008 with Barack Obama. He brought out a lot of new people that had never done that process before, and a big secret to his success was bringing out new people. You've got two candidates out there this year, Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, who are also banking on sort of opening up and democratizing this process.
And that's the thing, anybody can go. You can be a registered independent or not registered at all, show up at a caucus site and register that night. So
on both sides.
On both sides. So it is perceived even by a lot of Iowans as for a sort of specific part of the party activists, but it is open to all.
And to J.S. Johns or Charlotte Lady's point that the Trump-free debate will be a different dynamic. You mentioned that in the panel.
Yeah.
I mean, just more time, you think?
I mean, he takes up a lot of time and he certainly pulls a lot of focus. So I would think it potentially is a benefit, especially, I think, in the sort of the race for third that we were talking about. I think for those candidates, they're going to have a little more time.
Mm-hmm. You agree?
Oh, definitely. And the other thing is we've seen a couple of candidates lately who have been more forceful in criticizing Trump, Jeb Bush, Ted Cruz. They're going to have an opportunity to criticize Donald Trump and not get any pushback from Donald himself. And that's meaningful, too. That's beneficial to them.
Now, if Donald Trump walks in 90 minutes into the debate, that will be something I'm not sure we're ready for, but we'll see. Catherine, Jason, thanks so much for sticking around.
Thank you, Brett.
Sorry for the abbreviated online show tonight. I do have some work to do. We'll see you next Wednesday, and see you tomorrow.